What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 36 of Week in Review. My name is Sean, and on this week's show, we're going to talk about two comedic episodes of television, and we'll look forward to this week's new releases. Focusing solely on the TV side of things this week, no movies, no games, and so it's a totally different show, totally whole new reboot. Oh, spooky. I don't know why that's spooky. We're going to start with the 13th season of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia's third episode. And I like this episode a lot. I think it's probably the best of the season. I think this is a super fun redo of an already super great episode. It's a fun gender swap thing that gives them a lot of opportunity to make fun of sequels or reboots or redos, any sort of that thing. I also realized I didn't explain exactly what the episode was. Basically, it's The Gang Beats Boggs Female Edition, and I think that's actually what the episode is literally titled. Way back in season 8 or 9, maybe somewhere in there, they did an episode called The Gang Beats Boggs, where basically they're trying to crush 70 beers on a cross-country flight from Philadelphia to Los Angeles and then go hit baseballs at a baseball stadium. Pretty simple concept. That's what works well in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and it works well again here. Like I said, I think that the gender swap is really fun, and it gives Dee pretty much sole focus on this particular episode, and I think that's actually really great. I like her motivation. It's continuing what we saw from last week's episode in she has to beat the boys, and it's pointed out multiple times, you don't have to beat the guys, but she's so honed in and focused on it. And I think that's really funny. Being that this is an episode that's solely focused on Dee and her small group of friends, I guess. It's her, it's Dee, Mrs. Kelly, Mrs. Mack, the waitress, and Artemis. And two of those characters are really wonderful to see again in the waitress and Artemis. They're both underutilized, and it's probably because all the actors are busy, but it would be nice to see more of the waitress and to see more of Artemis. More in particular Artemis, because she fits into that group really well. She's kind of weird and different in her own way, and the way her character plays off of the other characters is very interesting to me. And it's always good to have more of the waitress, who ends up having a side competition with Dennis and the Air Sex Society, which is its own very brief side plot, but still pretty funny on its own. Because they're on a plane and because it is focused on all the female characters from the show, there's minimal interference from the other four guys, and Dennis isn't even in this episode from what I noticed. Everybody else makes very brief cameos almost, and they even kind of poke fun at if you're going to do a reboot, you have to have some cameos from the previous run or whatever. And that minimalization of it, think if you've watched the show, Mac and Dennis move to the suburbs level of, it's 5 characters and it's Dee as front and center, and that's it. They show up for 45 seconds, and that's about it. I mean, even Mac and Dennis move to the suburbs, they're a little bit more involved with the other 3, but it still is a plot focused primarily on those 2 characters, Mac and Dennis. But in this case, it's Dee and her group. I think the minimal interference from the other 4 is extremely helpful to this particular episode. It makes the chaos feel more insular to the plane, and I really liked it. This episode also has a super great guest character spot, someone who's shown up a few times in the past, and basically it's the same joke for the last 3 times, and it's still funny because you see where it's going, and they execute it so well that it's just, I don't know, it tickled me, and I was happy to see this particular person back into the fray. Overall, I thought this was a very fun episode. It's a good, like I said, it's a good redo or rehash of an old fun idea. I think everything pays off really well. I love the focus on Dee and the minimal interference from the other 4 characters. I think this is the best episode of the season so far. The other half of this comedy equation is the pilot episode for Arizona Circle, which is a Rooster Teeth / Funhouse collaboration. I didn't intentionally wear my Buff Husky shirt, but that's just kind of how it worked out. I really liked this pilot episode, and I hope it's something that gets picked up for a full series. I thought it was a lot of fun and very clever in a lot of different ways. This show reminded me why I enjoy sketch comedy. It can be super weird and goofy and odd, and the sketches that I typically enjoy are something that's basic that you've seen before but has like kind of a weird twist on it, and I thought that showed up a couple of different times here in this particular show. And I also like things that start one way and kind of shift and go a different way in a way that I wasn't expecting, and that happened in this show as well. One of the things that I noticed pretty early on was the way the sketches were integrated into the rest of the episode. Like there's an actual story arc that happens in, I think, 4, maybe 5 different little segments, but the way that they establish that story and then they pull a TV into the room and the TV plays something, and that's like sketch A, or the sketch 1 in this particular show, the way that exits back into their hospital story and kind of goes back and forth between that. One of them is like a poster on the wall. That's one transition. Another one is a magazine cover. That's another transition. And I really like that because it made everything feel very connected in a way that I wasn't expecting. And it just, I don't know, it really clicked with me, and I really enjoyed that. I like that the sketches were very briefly referential to other things that had happened, and it just makes it feel really good. I was thinking about like some of the sketch shows that I've watched in the past, particularly The Whitest Kids You Know, where like the sketch happens, there's some weird like interstitial animation or graphic, and then it just goes on to the next thing, and everything feels just very like parted out, and it doesn't feel like it's all that cohesive. Maybe that's part of the point with that particular show. Key and Peele did it a little bit differently, where they would talk in between the sketches and made it feel a little more connected and cohesive. They are also brilliant at what they do. So it's a different way to do a show like this that I haven't seen before. I'm not super into it. I enjoy it. Shout out to like All That and The Amanda Show, Dancing Lobsters, all that good stuff. It's just, I really enjoyed the way this flowed together from piece to piece. I really like that there is an overarching plot to this. Do I know what the pants is? No. Do I get it? No. Am I in for the ride? Absolutely. It's ridiculous, and I'm in. I don't really care. I'm having a good time with it, and I thought it was very, very fun. Speaking of the actual sketches themselves, I thought they were very fun and clever. I really enjoyed the Cops parody called Cucks, which is like a sketch that I really enjoyed, but I also wonder how that's going to play to an audience that isn't already familiar with that. And that was something that I was thinking about after the show. I was like, man, like I really enjoyed that. But would someone who doesn't already watch their content really care or find it as humorous as I did? And I don't know if that's really like a knock. And I get that a lot of stuff is made with a very specific audience in mind, but this one almost feels like it's too specific in some ways, because like I watch all this content that these creators make. I watch Funhouse and Achievement Hunter and Rooster Teeth, and so like I already feel like I'm in on the joke, but I feel like it could also be jarring to other people, but maybe they do a good enough job to people who aren't as into it as I am to make them feel like they are a part of it. Like the concept is simple enough to get new people in to go like, oh, like this situation's funny or this joke is funny. And that was the only one of those that I really noticed where I was like, oh, I like this joke because of the other content. The others felt a little more open-ended, a little easier to just kind of jump in blind and go on it. I also like their like Ghostbusters one that kind of starts one way and then twists a completely different way, and I didn't see where it was going, because at first I was like, what in the world is this? Super weird. Is this like a Coco mashup? Like, I don't understand what the joke. Oh, and then it goes from there, and it's actually very, very funny. This was a highly enjoyable, very entertaining, funny 26 minutes that I only had like one sketch. There was only one sketch that missed the mark, and it's one that's in a well, and I just felt like I didn't even really get it, and something about it just kind of felt off. And I don't know, maybe that's more of a testament to how strong the other 3 or 4 were, that one stuck out to where I was like, I didn't really like it. But hey, there's the Cops parody, the Ghostbusters thing, a movie studio executive sort of thing, and then the overall plot. So there are 3 or 4 other pieces of this particular show that really worked well for me. But hopefully they hit their goal of 7,000 new Rooster Teeth first members, and they can make a full season, because I am very anxious to see where they go from here. I really liked Arizona Circle. Finally, on this week's show, we'll look forward to this week's new releases. Let me grab my notebook right here. Conveniently placed between 2 Mountain Dew Black Labels. That's the wrong notebook. This other notebook, also conveniently placed between 2 Mountain Dew Black Labels, has the information that I am looking for this particular segment. I now am filling time as I flip through the pages to find what's new this week. New this week on Blu-ray is Uncle Drew. That was the most notable release. In theaters, we have Night School and Smallfoot, 2 movies that I put on my list for like things that I'm interested in upcoming. So maybe we'll check those out this weekend. Games. We're going to start with the 2 games that are on Xbox One this week. The first is Forza Horizon 4's Ultimate Edition. If you pre-order that for $100, you get 3 or 4 days early access. It's preloaded on my console. I'm really ready to go. Very excited for that game. The other game that's coming to Xbox One this week was previously available on PlayStation 4, and I mentioned it when it came to that particular console because I thought it looked interesting. Pizza Titan Ultra is out, and then across all kinds of platforms, Hollow Knight, Valkyria Chronicles 4, Think of the Children, which is a party game that has like time management elements about taking care of kids in dangerous situations, and Life is Strange Episode 2, Life is Strange 2 Episode 1 is out this week. I won't be doing that one just yet. I'm going to wait until all the episodes out and then cover that when it's fully and completely released. I didn't actually even play The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit now that I think about it, and someone even asked me if I was going to play it, and I said, yeah, I'll get to it, and then I never did. So that's what's new this week. Thank you so much for watching this week's show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you know when new videos are being posted. I forgot to mention in the What's New section that Thursday night will be digital football night. It's I think it's Bills at Packers this week. So stay tuned for that. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you're excited for. And be sure to check back every Tuesday for more Week in Review. See you next week.